Hey everyone, Romeo here, a fellow Spanish language learner. In this video, I want to talk about why I continue to study. I've completed complete Spanish step by step multiple times. I've watched Destinos twice. I can understand Spanish comfortably. I can hold real conversations, and I don't use a translator anymore. So, by most standards, I should be done. But I'm not. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. In a previous video, I talked about reaching the first meaningful level of Spanish fluency, the point where you can operate without a translator. And that's a real milestone. But here's what surprised me. That level isn't as complete as it feels. There's a gap most learners don't notice until they run into it. And I ran into it. It shows up the moment you try to say something slightly outside of your comfort zone. Not ordering food, not small talk, something more specific, more abstract, more layered. And suddenly you realize you can operate, but you don't have full range. And that's when it clicked for me. Functional independence is not the same as expressive control. When I said I no longer needed a translator, that meant I could survive. I could navigate. I could communicate clearly in most everyday situations. But that was never the final goal. The long-term goal is shrinking the gap between what I can think in English and what I can say in Spanish. That's a much higher bar. Finishing a textbook, such as Complete Spanish Step by Step, gives you structure, but it doesn't give you range. When you complete a grammar book, you gain structural awareness. You understand how the pieces fit together, you recognize tenses, you can complete exercises correctly. But recognizing structure and accessing structure across different domains quickly and reliably are different skills. And here's something else I realized. Real life conversation is structurally narrow. At a bar, what are you talking about? Where are you from? How long are you here? What do you do? In a taxi? Where are you going? How much is it? Is there traffic? Those interactions matter and they build confidence, but they don't stress test your full structural range. You can operate comfortably inside those lanes while still having blind spots in hypotheticals, embedded clauses, conditionals, tense sequencing, abstract explanations, the parts of the language that expand expressive capacity. Conversation often lets you avoid your weaknesses, but workbooks, they don't. And this is where what I call my workbook philosophy comes in. Not just any workbook, the right workbook. The right workbook forces production, full sentences, paragraph length translation, and sustained structure from beginning to end. The right workbook doesn't let you hide behind multiple choice. It doesn't let you fill in one blank and move on. It forces you to maintain tense alignment, agreement consistency, pronoun placement, connectors. When you have to translate a full paragraph from English into Spanish, you can't simplify everything into the same 5 sentence patterns you're comfortable with. You have to stretch. And stretching exposes range limitations. That's the point. Because if my goal is eventually to say in Spanish anything that I can say in English, then I need to expand domain knowledge intentionally. Real life doesn't always expose you to new domains in a structured way. If I want to talk about professional scenarios, abstract ideas, hypotheticals, emotional nuance, I might not randomly encounter those in everyday travel conversations. A workbook allows me to introduce domains deliberately. It allows me to increase structural complexity while controlling the tempo. Real conversation is fast and reactive. A workbook is slow and reflective. That combination builds depth. And here's something important. The right workbook doesn't just extend your knowledge, it changes how you think about what you already know. You might think you understand the tense, and then you hit a paragraph that forces you to maintain that tense across multiple clauses and shifts and nuance, and suddenly you realize your control isn't automatic yet. That feedback is invaluable because now you've identified a structural gap before it shows up in real conversation. So, what am I actually doing right now? I'm not chasing new resources. I'm not stacking apps. I'm not restarting at beginner level. I'm compressing hesitation. I'm widening structural bandwidth. I'm stress testing blind spots that casual conversation would let me avoid. I'm building expressive range strategically so that over time, the gap between what I can think and what I can say continues to shrink. That's a long-term project. It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, but it's deliberate. Finishing a textbook such as Complete Spanish Step by Step is phase 1. Owning the structure across domains is phase 2. And workbooks, the right ones, are the most efficient tool I've found to structure that climb. If your goal is to get by, you can absolutely stop earlier. But if your goal is structural independence and eventually expressive equivalence, then recycling and strategic expansion are part of the process. That's why I'm still studying. If this helped clarify the difference between operating in Spanish and expanding your expressive range, give this video a like. And here's something to think about. Are you aiming to just survive in Spanish? Or are you aiming to shrink the gap between what you can think and what you can say? Let me know in the comments. And as always, good luck on your journey to building more functional, usable Spanish. Peace.